Okay, so yeah, this is so I've uh, kind of put together three of his poems, Tagore's poems, for reflection today. So this is the first one. I thought we can start with this. I'll just read it out, and then we can take a pause and then share reflections. Yet I can never believe that you are lost to us, my king. Though our party poverty is great and deep our shame, your will works behind the veil of despair, and in your own time opens the gate of the impossible. You come as unto your own house, into the unprepared hall on the unexpected day. Dark ruins at your touch become like a bud nourishing unseen in its bosom the fruition of fulfillment. Therefore, I still have hope, not that the wrecks will be mended, but that a new world will arise. So, extremely hopeful and inspirational words. So, let us take a pause and share our reflections.
So I think all of us understand this and feel this. It's a very beautiful poem, the lines written uh, word by word, sentence by sentence. If we have to reflect, yet I can never believe that you are lost to us, my king, though our poverty is great and deep our shame. We all feel this, like, somewhere inside we have this, uh, shame, or, like we feel that, that all of us, because of our ego consciousness, we are full of poverty. And yet we all know that, there is this king, so the king is not lost to us. uh, we all feel this, it's for everybody. We know, all of us know this. Your will works behind the veil of despair, and in your own time opens the gate of the impossible. Again, this is also like, it reveals to each one of us that when the time is right, something that, like few years ago you didn't understand, or, like felt impossible, you just see how the progression is happening, like. So you understand that, in your own time opens the gate of the impossible. You you come as unto your own house, into the unprepared hall on the unexpected day. This again, we are that house where, suddenly we understand that the divine is there, and we divine stays with us in us. And yet on one unexpected day, we just know that it has come in the forefront, and dark ruins at your touch become like a bud, nourishing, unseen in its bosom, the fruition of fulfillment. This also, I think, we see how gradual and progressive this is, the ruins which we felt, and when we finally, like, when we are ready or receptive to this touch, we see how, like a small bud, we start to nourish, and the petals start unfolding. And so therefore I still have hope, not that the wrecks will be mended, but that a new world will arise. Yeah, absolutely. Very beautiful.
Yeah, thank you so much, Shweta. Beautifully explained. The last line was so revelatory, the last two lines were really, when I was just going through it, whether I should take it for today or not, amazing. I mean, I had to actually read it twice to see what he's trying to say, that I still have hope, not that the wrecks will be mended, because that is a very little hope, but that a new world will arise. That was really beautiful.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, Swapna, anything from you?
Hi, you two. I'm actually driving for about another 5 minutes and then I'll be still. I was on my way home. So I've been listening, and I think for some reason I can't look at my screen, but that line about the fruition, uh, with the bud and the fruition, those two, like that stayed with me. It really struck me at when you were both reading them out loud. And again, just that reassurance of the potential held in the bud, and the metaphor as myself as the bud, and the encouragement to know that it is all there, the divine's wisdom. And it's very beautiful and full of hope. And also at the beginning, that line about that the Lord, the divine, would come in unannounced, unexpected, right when, even if, like the unprepared hallway, so even when my mind or I feel like, well, things aren't ready. I mean, surely I have more work to be done, more courses, or I don't know, all the different excuses that mind can come up with, or ego. And instead, just that wonderful promise of, whether I feel prepared or not, the divine sees me as worthy and more than fit, and as I guess in this moment I see coming in at any moment, at every moment, it's just simply about tuning in, or it's like a channel, right? Like a TV channel or a radio channel, just to tune in. Yeah. And notice that even if I feel unprepared, just like this unprepared hallways, she is with me.
Beautiful.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, very nice reflection. Very beautiful.
Mhm.
So,
Mother talks about this on the path of sadhana or the life as yoga. Mother talks about this egg. Maybe you have heard this anecdote from the mother. Mother says that it's like, the path, walking on the path is like, imagine that a chick is developing in the egg, and for many many days, you don't see anything. So from the outside of the egg you don't see anything. So that's connected here with the second line, the behind you whirl, your will, the divine will works behind the veil of despair. So there is a thick shell. You can't really get to know whether the chick is developing or not developing, and unless you really use a microscope or some instrument to see behind the transparent or the translucent skin. But otherwise, on the outside, the egg does not change anything. The shape is not changing. And this is what happens to us also many times, that we feel, oh my god, I'm still there, oh my god, I'm still there. But it's not like that, mother says. And she says that one day suddenly the the shell cracks. So we think, because the mind has very limited views, and the based on limited views on which it bases its judgment. So we cannot really understand what is the working of the divine will, in what ways I am being progressed or improved. But one day, it happens that one revelation, as if you get one illumination in your being. And Sri Aurobindo says that it's not that is the end or beginning. From one illumination to a greater illumination, from one revelation to a greater revelation. Such is the beauty of this path. So the maybe shell breaks once, and then you see that there was another shell around you. Again, in some days that breaks open. In some years, another one breaks open. So it's like revelations after revelations. Since our being is also divine, and divine is infinite, so there is no end to these revelations, gradual illuminations. Yeah, and then he says that I'll just touch upon a few bits, because I think everything has been already shared beautifully. And in your own time opens the gate of the impossible. So as we were sharing, that each person, each individual has its own journey. At times we can give hints and clues to ourselves or to others, and it helps. At times we see that there is a lag, there is a drag in the journey, and even that drag has some purpose. We don't know what is the purpose of that drag. Yeah. So one day when things are okay, things are ready, the will is working behind the veil of despair, and your own times opens the gate of the impossible. And Sri Aurobindo says that impossibility is the beginning of a new possibility. So what do you think today is impossible for me? The very fact that you are imagining about it, that, oh my god, this seems impossible for me, the very fact that you are imagining about it tells you that it will be possible very soon. That soon may come anytime. Eternity is unlimited. And then these beautiful lines, that one day this opens and you come as unto your own house. So whenever we go into our own house, we are unprepared. We are not wanting to pretend to anybody. We are very unprepared. So just like that, we enter our house very casually, very casually, very in ordinary way. You come into your own house, it's your temple, into the unprepared hall. Now yahan pe, there's a lot of burden that gets shed off from our shoulders, that the hall is still unprepared. I'm on the path. It's not that I have beautifully prepared the hall and everything is clean, neat and pure. No, still many imperfections, many impurities, many shadows are there. And yet you come. So this is what we call as divine grace. This is what we call, because of the grace, the presence is revealed to us. The divine presence is revealed to us into the unprepared hall on the unexpected day. So it's again beyond logic, beyond reason. Grace works in such ways that in most traumatic of experiences, you may have the biggest of revelations. Such is the beauty of grace. Unexpected day. And what happens? Dark ruins at your touch become like a bud, nourishing unseen, in its bosom the fruition of fulfilment. So these shadows that are left, the imperfections that are left, all these vices, everything, pride, vanity, arrogance, all whatever is left, the moment touch of grace is there, they become pregnant with potential. Just like as Swapna was sharing, a seed is pregnant with potential. A seed crashes itself and gives way to a sapling. Yeah, just like that, this all these ruins, dark shadows, imperfections, everything that is lurking behind in the nature, they become a raw material for a new possibility. What we call the new world will arise out of those ruins. Yeah. Therefore, I still have hope. And what a beautiful hope, not that the wrecks will be mended. That will be just putting together pieces. Still, cracks will be there. If we are putting together a cracked cup or a mug, the cracks are going to be there. So that hope is not there. A bigger hope, a greater hope. What is the hope? That from these ashes, from the wrecks, something new will arise. So absolutely a new consciousness, if one can say. It's not that the older consciousness is being mended and repaired. No, nothing like that. New consciousness. You are born anew, born afresh, leaving all the older selves behind. So beautiful. I mean, this is really so beautiful. And this new world is a world, if I'm understanding correctly, a world where we are not the slaves of the ego consciousness, but knowingly the slaves of the divine consciousness, our inner truth. Knowingly. Yeah. So conscious collaboration with the divine. Yeah. Is there anything more? Anyone? Okay. So let's. Yeah. Shweta, please go ahead. Yeah.
I just wanted to reiterate what Swapna said. Now, how much ever we might think we are not prepared or we are not worthy, the divine will always find, like a perfect, complete person where it can, just
Absolutely.
dwell. Yeah, that
Absolutely.
is very beautiful.
Beautiful. Absolutely. Yeah, I think this is very important what you brought up again, that uh, we think that once I will be pure, only then this will happen, or some revelation, or while we know that people who have, it's obvious, we see grace in those people. It's not that they don't have impurities. It's that just because of that little touch of divine grace, they are able to transform those impurities into higher possibilities. So I think we really have to work like magicians on ourselves with that little touch of grace, using all the imperfections, impurities, shadows, everything is there. Kabir says, बुरा जो देखन मैं चला, बुरा ना मिलिया कोई, जो मन खोजा आपना, मुझसे बुरा ना कोई. So everything is there, all darkness is there, but can I use it as a raw material for stepping up into a higher consciousness, new consciousness? Yeah, Swapna, you wanted to share? Please go ahead.
Yes, I also went back to the lines, just the fact that like the words, though our poverty is great and deep our shame, your will works behind the veil of despair. And this, just to again feel so heard, because even just earlier today, there was this level of shame of, okay, just whatever the mood is, or the sense of somehow, despite the knowledge that the mind should be focusing on all there is to be grateful for, there was a morning where there was this and that, it felt like, the mind was complaining, and then there was the shame, as soon as like there is the awareness of the divine, it's so easy to, for me at least, to feel the shame when I can't just wake up, get out of bed, and just feel amazing, but there are days when it isn't like that, and still just this, that has been named, like, doesn't matter though the shame be deep, your will works behind the veil of despair. So even that, there, because there is that despair that can come due to it, the shame and the despair, and still it's like, oh, the will works. It just keeps, it's always there, and that's, I felt really, heard and somehow, again, encouraged.
Beautiful. Yeah, thank you. Beautiful. Poverty, our inner poverty, what Shweta earlier shared, and Swapna now you touched upon, this inner poverty, I feel that it is a signal of uh, our ego consciousness in operation. Hmm. Because this is the beggar inside us, this inner beggar that we have. And the more we live as a slave to that beggar, we remain a beggar. So this inner poverty is great. because we are living through that, mostly because this is how the journey starts. And slowly, 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 whenever things have to change, we have this realization that this is maybe not the best way for us now to go, now that we understand that all through our all experiences, all the challenges, difficulties, falling on our nose again and again, that maybe this is not the bestest possible way to go. Beautiful. So yeah, let's go ahead then. The next one. Yeah. So it's called as the tender twilight. As the tender twilight covers in its fold of dusk veil marks of hurt and wastage from the dusty day's prostration. Even so, let my great sorrow for thy loss, beloved, spread one perfect golden tinted silence of its sadness over my life. Let all its jagged fractures and distortions, all unmeaning scattered scraps and wrecks and random ruins, merge in vastness of some evening, stilled with thy remembrance, filled with endless harmony of pain and peace united. So this also reminded me of mother's prayers and meditations, where she again and again, towards also in the beginning and towards the end, she she finds solace in this remembrance, stilled with thy remembrance. So let us take a pause and then we'll share our reflections. Yeah, anyone who feels ready to share, please go ahead.
I can share some of the things. The poetry becomes a little harder for my mind to grasp, yet there's a sense feeling of how it's translating and what its meaning is for me. So as the tender twilight covers its fold of dusk, veil marks of hurt and wastage from the dusty day's prostration, even so my great loss for thy loss. And there, I don't fully get the line, yet what strikes me is the tender, the twilight being tender. It's like that of something mothering, something, again, comforting. And then these veil marks of hurt and wastage. And that to me is like, okay, a veil covers something, it covers the true essence. And so these the hurt and wastage from the dusty day's prostration. So it's like, as the day has been prostrated to the divine, like laid down and bowed down to something greater, still the hurt and the wastage of anything, ego movements from the day, they're the things that veil, they're the marks. But the tender twilight covers these, and somehow makes them better. And even so, my great sorrow for thy loss, I would imagine that's when I feel that shame, or that sense of, oh, one could have done more with the day somehow, or been more aware of the divine. And therefore there's a sorrow somehow, because the loss would be simply the moments where the glory of the divine has not been celebrated or felt, perhaps as myself. Beloved, spread one perfect golden tinted silence of its sadness over my life. And yes, again, just asking for the touch of the divine, and the golden tinted. It's like, when the sun is setting and one sees those amazing rays of gold that comes from the sun, and the silence, again, as something as the potency and the promise of the divine. And let that again blanket over the sadness, which I imagine the sadness, when I relate to it, is those times when I feel that somehow I haven't been in my true essence, fully able to manifest my divine self. So asking for that comfort from the Lord. Let all its jagged fractures and distortions, all unmeaning, scattered scraps and wrecks and random ruins, merge in vastness of some evening stilled with thy remembrance, filled with endless harmony of pain and peace united. So again, it seems to, pay homage or name that these jagged fractures and distortions are all unmeaning scattered scraps, meaning, again, the ego comes in even if I don't want it to come in, or harsh words or harsh feelings or sadness or depression or any of those things. They end up like scraps, wrecks, ruining things or ruining situations, perhaps, or relationships in moments. And yet it's praying for this this merging of the vastness of some evening stilled with thy remembrance. So just simply the memory of God, as you mentioned about the mother doing that, and the harmony and the peace that can come, just a blend, united. This word united at the end is like to somehow come in and transfigure or transform those painful moments, and with the more powerful grace and beauty of the divine. Yes.
Yeah, beautiful. Thank you so much, Swapna. Beautifully elaborated. Yeah. Yeah. Anyone who has more reflections, anything else, please.
Just the last four lines I found them very beautiful. Let all its jagged fractures and distortions, all unmeaning scattered scraps and wrecks and random ruins, merge in the vastness of some evening stillness with thy remembrance, filled with endless harmony of pain and peace united. So I feel so beautifully it's been mentioned that, harmony of pain and peace. So the pain is all this that is mentioned, jagged fractures and distortions, and the stillness of, remembering the divine. That is the peace, and just merging in the vastness, you know, both the things. Yeah, that's harmony. Very beautiful. I like that.
I think it's really interesting um, how we value, or maybe we enjoy, if I can say, the stillness and peace much, much more once we have been through all these fractures and pain and all that. So there is indeed this harmony of pain and peace united, because if everything is just pure bliss, that this taste, the tang of pain, and then coming back to peace, a unification, a more deeper, greater harmony. I feel that one values it so much, having gone through non-peace and all that. So I don't know. Yeah, this reminds me of one story by Osho. I heard it in one of the Osho's talks, where there is a Raja, there is a king who comes to Osho. Sorry, not Osho, maybe a sadhu. And this sage is very renowned sage. So the king comes and he says that I have everything in life, but I don't have happiness. And this sadhu says, okay, I can give you happiness. You go to the palace tomorrow, and come back tomorrow with all your treasures in the one potli. So the king gets all the treasures collected in one potli, and this big bag, the potli, he gives to the sadhu. He says, give it to me now. And the moment he takes the potli, he runs, the sadhu runs. And he runs village after village. They're running, the king is running after him because it's all his treasure after all. And finally, when they're almost getting tired, the sadhu stops, and he was obviously playing a prank. He gives the potli back to the king, and now the king is full of this sigh and relief and very content. So he says that, see, you are there, you have everything, and we just take it for granted. Even when we talk about peace, contentment, once something is taken away and then given back, for example, people who have been through diseases, really life challenging, threatening diseases, once the health is taken away, and then given back, I think then we realize that what we had earlier, everything is taken so much for granted. Somehow we are that way, that as if we are blind to all that goodness, contentedness, or the joy that we already have. And it's beautiful to see this, how duality helps us realize this deeper harmony, that it's already there, that once we lose it, then we gain it, and then we realize that it was already there. And many a times I would say that we just go through a deeper loss, we don't get it back. And even there is some goodness hiding, because there we realize that I am content and harmonized even without that thing given back to me. So that is also another experience. Yeah, anything more, anyone? So Lakshna ji, is it you on iPhone, if you have anything to share? Okay. And I think this is absolutely so practically seen also, what Swapna was elaborating upon, the wastage, the wastage of the day that we do. And we feel, because there is an inner knowing that I should not be there, but yet the nature is so twisted that still we are there in the ego trap, again and again, again and again. So one feels this kind of what shame also was referred to in the beginning, in the other one, that one says that, why was I not more and more aware of my truth? Why was I not acting throughout the day from my truth? There were so many opportunities that I missed. Yeah, so this hurt and wastage also. And one feels this sorrow or sadness that I could have done better. I could have done better. Yet again, he says that, I feel that he says, beloved, spread one perfect golden tinted silence of its sadness over my life. So the more sadness I feel not being in true touch, true communion with my inner being, I think that pushes me more towards the remembrance. So there is a beauty in this pain or sorrow for the loss of divine awareness. There is also a beauty there. Yeah. And then, of course, when we have a few moments, even a few moments, Mother says, few moments spent in absolute stillness and peace, or with in inner divine communion, they are just enough to give you more than a whole night's sleep. Yeah. Some evenings stilled with thy remembrance, filled with endless harmony of pain and peace united.
It's so beautiful, no? Endless harmony of pain and peace united. Very beautiful. And also that stilled with thy remembrance. Like, very beautiful.
Yeah. It's almost as if one enters in a limited, maybe you are just 10 minutes. If you look at the frame of time, maybe it's 10 minutes that you were there in that stillness and remembrance. But it seems that you have touched eternity. So you have touched the timeless, trapped in time. Because those moments which are really spent in this stillness, although it's very amazing, this paradox, that this they may seem that it's only 10 minutes that I was there like that, and yet it seemed that you have penetrated the time, you've gone beyond time in those 10 minutes. So this endless harmony. Yeah, beautiful. Okay, so let's take one more. Yeah, this is the last one, I guess. Yeah. Through death and sorrow. So through death and sorrow, there dwells peace in the heart of the eternal. Life's current flows without cease. The sunlight and starlights carry the smile of existence, and springtime its songs. Waves rise and fall, the flowers blossom and fade, and my heart yearns for its place at the feet of the endless. I think it's very already quite self explanatory, but let's take a pause and share our reflections.
I think it speaks about how dying is the essence of living, dying to every moment, the way that the universe works, the way nature works. And even for us, we just know that, Every moment that is gone, every breath that we take has to go. So it's just in that flow only, it's explaining. Life's current flows without cease. The sunlight and the starlights carry the smile of existence, and springtime, its songs. Waves rise and fall, the flowers blossom and fade, and my heart yearns for its place at the feet of the endless. Being detached and just moving forward in this uh, journey, the dichotomy, like birth and death to something that is eternity. We all yearn for that, right?
Yeah, beautiful, Shweta. It's also very interesting how he says through death and sorrow. So it's not like one has to kind of escape, or it's through this only what we all go through, as you were sharing, each breath, each moment we are actually dying. If we look physically also, each moment there is death, each moment there is a new birth, each moment there is a death. Through death and sorrow, through this path only, so this is the only path, there dwells a peace. So good, great that you touched upon that. It's like almost like, through time you enter the timeless. What I was sharing before that. So I think I can connect it here also, that it looks that we are trapped in time. As a body, we are limited in time, but through this limitedness in time, there is a possibility to enter into timelessness, to realize truly who we are. Yeah, so please, Swapna and iPhone, if you have any reflections, please.
Yeah, I think for me, part of it, I agree with what both you and Shweta have shared. And also for me, I like the words that reflect nature, because it's something that I love spending time in, and these, like, life's current flows without seas. The sunlight and starlights carry the smile of existence, and springtime, its songs. And it's so rich because it got the mention of seasons. And so just as much as the seasons in nature and in our universe, externally, the seasons being the synonym, also a metaphor for the seasons of life, the different phases or moods, whether it's life phases or whether it's just a short period of time. And then the sunlight and starlights, again, it spans from day to night, and in the everydayness, that just the everydayness of being reminded of the divine through something such as daylight, or looking up at the stars at night. And again, the promise of that vastness of looking up at a starry sky. And then the waves rise and fall, love being by the sea, and how it's just amazing how it's endless, right? Like, I mean, it never stops, the waves that lap up to the shore. So again, for me, carrying that, the eternity of the divine's love, and it being manifested in the world, and flowers blossoming and fading, and my heart yearns for its place at the feet of the endless. And so somehow, again, as you both have touched, of this kind of life and death, as well as night and day, seasons, just the beginning, the ending, flowers blooming and fading. So just all aspects, I think in this moment also situations that seem to start, and it can be such a celebration, relationships, friendships, and then there can be disappointments and there can be an ending. And yet it's all a reflection of my heart's yearning for its place at the feet of the endless, you know. So it's just ultimately all of it, there's this eternal quest for the fulfillment and satisfaction that only comes to that one greater source.
Yeah, beautiful. Yeah. Today I was watching this one series, and there was this reflection upon how through everything that we do, we are actually wanting the feat of endless, the endless contentment, endless fulfillment, what Swapna was touching upon, endless happiness. So for example, if today, any particular thing that I am really desiring for, it may be a spiritual thing, or it may be a person, a relationship, and if somebody asks me a question that, would you still desire this particular relationship or anything else if it makes you miserable? And we would have actually second thoughts about it, because all that we are seeking in our life, we are seeking in this quest, as Swapna was using this word, that there is this yearning of for this eternal fulfillment, the endless fulfillment. And unknowingly we think that I may find it in this relationship, that job, this job, that country of residence, this country of residence. But we fail miserably, and slowly through our own experiences we get convinced that it is not to be found anywhere. It is just there. What Kabir says, दौड़त दौड़त दौड़िया, जहां लगी मन की दौड़, दौड़ थके मन स्थिर भया, तो वस्तु ठौर की ठौर. So that endless, that feat of endless is right here with me 24/7. Only if I really become still in my being, pause, and I see that I never had to really run that much. But again, running has its own advantages, because it makes us more and more convinced that that which I am looking for is my own true nature. This is my true essence, and I cannot get it from anywhere. Nobody can give it to me. Yeah.
Yeah, even I was thinking on similar lines. Like this last two lines, my heart yearns for its place at the feet of the endless. Uh, that is what is again so true for all of us, and I think the more we dig into it, we all realize that that is in us, that awareness which like we talk about, which you also say, you give that example of screen and the movie. We know that all this highs and lows, the fall and rise, the living and dying, everything happens there in that screen, and in that movie. And yet like what we are yearning, that feat of endless, it is that screen, which is always there. Yeah. So, so true. I think just our journey to connect to that awareness and know that we are the awareness.
Yeah. And again, practically, if we grow in our experiences, knowing ourselves as this awareness, practical experiences with this, we see that as awareness, I don't lack anything. Only in the movie, as a character, I keep on lacking, and there is no end to that lacking. At times, the movie will be happy, at times, the movie will be sad, but the screen, to the screen, it does not matter. There is this endless contentment and inner joy when we know ourselves as that. But again, the way we are made is that we again and again, knowingly, unknowingly, we identify ourselves with the character of the movie playing it on the screen. And that is our journey, constant remembrance, constant remembrance, constant remembrance. Yeah. So I can share one more, or we can end it here? What about you two?
I'm fine to go with one more.
Okay. So let's take one more. I hope, Shweta, it's okay with you also.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's fine.
Let's take one more. And this is a very popular one, Ekla Chalo. Most of you must have heard about this. So I think this is the English version of this. If they answer not to thy call, walk alone. If they are afraid and cower mutely, facing the wall, O thou of evil luck, open thy mind and speak out alone. If they turn away and desert you with when crossing the wilderness, O thou of evil luck, trample the thorns under thy tread, and along the blood-lined track travel alone. If they do not hold up the light when the night is troubled with storm, O thou of evil luck, with the thunder flame of pain, ignite thy own heart and let it burn alone. I think beautiful, really beautiful lines, and again, kind of sparking the Aryan spirit or the warrior spirit, what Sri Aurobindo or what Kabir talks of. So let's take a pause and share our reflections on this. I think in Bangla he calls this abhaga, evil luck, oh thou of evil luck. So he uses this word again and again, oh abhage, because we would call ourselves abhaga, that, oh my God, nobody is walking with me. I think not that the divine feels that we are of evil luck, but we feel that if we are left alone and there is no one walking with me, or on this path I'm all alone, there's no one who I can share with. So we consider ourselves as abhaga or of evil luck. Yeah, anyone who feels ready to share, please go ahead.
It's just beautiful, like the courage and the journey that he's talking about. Like, make your own path, and like people will walk. Like there's a saying that people will walk with you, but nobody can walk for you. So, very beautiful. I just wanted to share that, and so true. Like especially this thing of igniting your own flame. Uh, it's very beautiful. Yeah, every line, very very beautiful. Gives a lot of reiteration and encouragement in what you believe anyway. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, Swapna, anything you want to share? Yeah, please.
Yes, I also like that it, underscores this need to be with oneself, right? So thick and thin, this ability to cultivate, or the ability to be with oneself and to cultivate that I will believe in my journey or in what I believe to be true, and walk that path. And here it seems for me to name the times when it can feel like much of family or nearest friends seem unavailable, too busy, or think differently, or whatever it may be, and still to just keep going. Also the loneliness was being addressed, when you're crossing the wilderness. If they turn away and desert you when crossing the wilderness, it can feel like those times, especially when life feels tough and suddenly it seems no one's there, and still, just to continue trample the thorns under thy tread. So it's like it can feel so hard, like thorns pricking you, and nevertheless keep going, along the bloodline track, travel alone. So it's like, again, the beauty of it, like some of the hardest, toughest times being highlighted here, and still the need to keep going, and I like this: if they do not hold up the light when the night is troubled with storm, with, O thou of evil luck, and this thunder flame of pain, ignite thy own heart, as Shweta mentioned. Yeah, it's a beautiful line. And that the pain, that we've touched on that in many of our explorations with you, of like, just that the pain, the purpose of it, leading us to go somewhere very deep inside. And that it's thine own heart, like it's really within me, within each one of us. And that letting that burn alone, like essentially, again, coming back to letting the divine's light be the guiding light and the one that one follows, that's what's burning alone.
Beautiful. Yeah, beautiful. Let me share this short story, which I think resonates with this. So there is this village, and in the village, there is this chowkidar, the guard, and olden time story. So he has this lantern, and one day he wants to light up a beedi. So he's struggling to find a lighter. Where do I get this burning fire from, with which I can light up the beedi? So beedi is a cigarette, I hope you know, Swapna. So he goes out in search of this fire so that he can light up the beedi. He takes this lantern along and goes to one of the houses in village, and they say that we don't have the fire right now because the cooking has been done and everything is off, and we got the fire from the other house. So he goes to the other house. They also, the cooking is done, everything is off. They say that I got this from this house. So ultimately he goes to the zamindar's house, from where all the houses were getting the fire for cooking and everything. Now the zamindar opens the gate and he says, of course I can give you the fire, but why didn't you use your own lalten? And that was a revelation for the fellow, that, oh my God, I had this light with me, with which I have been searching and searching, and I could not use we are so blinded in our search, that we don't realize that the light is there within me all the time. So that was really a revelatory story when I read that. The zamindar says that, why can't you see your own lalten? You also have a lalten with which you could have burnt your cigarette or the beedi. So this is so beautiful, that with the thunder flame of thy pain, mother says that pain is such a blessing because it's so intense. It makes us sincere. Whenever we are going through painful emotionals, or whatever mental experiences, challenges in life, this pain is what makes us receptive and more willing to learn and progress. So use this dagger of pain, mother says, and go deeper, as Swapna was touching upon. Go deeper and find your own light, find your own inner guiding light, rather than begging for light from here, there, through relationships, through work, through finances, through change of places, everything. We go We try to hit our head on every wall possible, but somehow we are made that way, that very late we turn within, that okay, now I have tried enough, let me go within. And he says, let it burn alone. And this also reminds me what Swapna, I think, already touched upon, that being your bestest companion, never ever leaving your side. And that day we were talking about being your own other, so looking at yourself as if you're looking at another person. So if the mind, body, emotions I have, I look at them as the other person, then I can actually give myself company. That I am this, the one who sees, and I'm going to stay with this mind, body, and so as if I have become my bestest friend. So I am my other, and I have become a friend of myself through thick and thin, as you were sharing. And that really changes the life altogether, because we see that we abandon ourselves. Whenever we are going through challenges, we abandon our house and enter, kind of abandon ourselves, and there is no one standing with us. So this is really so powerful, that we can be our own bestest friend through the thick and thin, learn through all the experiences, whether anyone is walking along or not walking along. Because there would be times when people would not be really walking along with us, or agreeing to us, or validating us, or whatever we seek from external situations. Yeah.
I know. This is such a beautiful realization, which, I used to tell my children when they were young, and because when they go to school, or, just to tell them that, who's going to be with you all the time? Like, now mama is there, now when you go to school, you are there. In the evening, you're there with you. At night, you're there with you. So all the time, can you see you're there with you? So you are your best friend. You'll never leave yourself. So, you'll always be fine. I used to tell that to
Beautiful,
both my
beautiful.
kids. Yeah.
I think it's beautiful if we cultivate in, it's if we make aware children of
Yeah.
this realization from the very beginning, if it's possible. Yeah.
Because like personally, I felt that like I had developed those fears in childhood. So like through my own realization, oh my God, like I am always there with me, and like it's okay, I can be my friend. That's how it started. So yeah, I used to do that when my children were young, to just help them understand that there's one person who will always be there, and that is yourself. Just check it out, and they would like really think, yes.
Beautiful. That's really very powerful. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think there is also this beautiful sense of intimacy that we develop with ourselves, which we are seeking from relationships. Once we become our own good friend through thick or thin, then we see that we feel so intimately with ourselves, that the intimacy I am seeking from physical or other, even emotional, mental relationships, I get it here. You get this satisfaction or contentment here. And
And
again,
it,
yeah,
yeah, yeah.
yeah,
And
please.
it's very empowering. So,
Empowering.
once you feel that empowerment, you want to give it to your children, like, yes,
Absolutely,
yeah.
absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah, yeah. I cut you
No,
actually,
it's
Monica.
okay. Yeah, it's okay. This is also very powerful, that the trample the thorns under thy tread, and along the bloodline track travel alone. So no need to be afraid of blood oozing out or getting wounded. Everything will happen, but don't leave your side. Don't leave your side. Just on the bloodline track, travel alone. So beautiful, very powerful. Yeah. I think it's all almost, what we call as pain or suffering as a blessing in disguise. Because if people hold the light for me, I rarely care to watch for my own light, look for my own light. But yes, in the struggle of finding a light where I'm not finding a light, there I am pressurized, as if there is a divine pressure from above, that go, 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 find your light, because there is no light, and we look for light, we yearn for light. So this yearning for light which I'm not getting from anywhere, this intensity makes me look for it deeper, and then pain or suffering becomes a blessing, because otherwise I would not care to look for it. So all the traumas, all the tragedies, they can actually become like a true blessing of the divine grace.
Absolutely, very, very true and
Yeah.
beautiful. Yeah.
Yeah, is there anything more? Swapna, Anshumanji, you have joined later. So if you have any, we were just reflecting upon these lines. If there is
I,
anything.
I just joined few minutes back. Today is the first day.
Yeah.
So I will
Okay.
catch up.
Okay. Okay. So are you Bengali, Anshumanji?
Yes, yes.
Okay, beautiful. Okay, so we were just reflecting upon, I think you have heard this poem also, Ekla Cholo by Rabindranath
Ha, ha,
Tagore.
ha, 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 ha. Yes, yes.
Great.
So we are doing reflection on this poem. Ekla
So
Chalo, Ekla Chalo.
we were reflecting earlier three other poems, and then this is the last one that we took up for today.
Okay.
So it's almost now the end of the session, but next time maybe if you have time you can join earlier, and
Okay, sure, sure.
yeah. Thank you for joining today. Yeah. Great. So I think we can call it a day here, if not anything else. And thank you for joining, Shweta, Swapna, and Anshumanji. Yeah. Thank you for sharing your reflections, everyone.
Thank you, Monica, for
Thank you.
bringing all this to us. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.